Hi everybody! So we are here at the end of 2019 and we're going to be sharing with you the recap of the goals that we made last December.
That's right.
And then maybe promptly forgot about. We shall see. Yeah, I think we each made 5 goals last year, I believe.
I think 5 goals plus a reading, like a number goal.
Right, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's kind of just dive in and see how we did. Crystal, we'll start down with you.
So the first goal on my list was to read more plays. I failed epically. So I was thinking like I could read 1 play a month.
Right.
Because that's reasonable. I read 1.5 plays.
It's more plays than some people
I
read.
Rosmer Home by Henry Gibson. And I read half of Waiting for Godot. So right now they're still waiting. I don't know what's happening. So, yeah, I didn't even read any Shakespeare this year, which usually I tend to slip in, but like, failed. Nothing.
That's okay.
Well, that's a little more than nothing.
You read 1.5.
I tried. I bought some plays this year, but I didn't
Oh,
read
December's not quite over yet.
Yeah, we can go later.
Yeah, I guess it's only the 10th
a few more
as we
before-
do, so maybe I can
Sneak
weasel
one
something
in.
in there. Or finish Godot, maybe.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
Why not?
Cool. What about your first one, Sally?
My first one was to read more science fiction, which I guess I did. I went through my Goodreads list yesterday and pulled out sort of any that could qualify as science fiction. This sort of leads into one of my other goals, which I will talk about more later.
Sure.
But I was like, is this science fiction?
Right.
Does this qualify? I found myself like putting like horror things into the sci-fi category, and I was like, well, that's not necessarily sci-fi. But I read, I think 4 that like for sure count.
Okay.
Which is more than I would read a couple of years ago.
4's not bad.
4's not bad. I think I will probably roll this goal
Right.
forward and keep it going because I liked what I read and I could definitely stand to read more sci-fi. But yeah, I read some sci-fi.
It's good.
Should I tell which one?
You can, you want.
Okay, so the first one that I was counting as sci-fi, but I don't, I think it actually might just be more horror, so let me know in the comments what you think this is. What is the Gideon Falls comic series by Jeff Lemire and a few other people, I believe. I don't know if that's sci-fi or not, but I read it. I also read Wilder Girls, which is also horror, but definitely has a sci-fi twist to it. Bloom by Kenneth Opal is definitely sci-fi. Recursion and Pines by Blake Crouch. Recursion for sure is sci-fi. I read The Second Sanity in Tallulah graphic novel, which is awesome. They go on a field trip in space. Severance by Ling Ma
Also
is
great.
yeah, like sci-fi dystopia. And then Cog, which was our robot road trip book for OwlCrate Jr. So that was my sci-fi year.
It's quite a few. Not
Yeah,
bad.
good job.
Not bad. My first one was to read more poetry, which I completely forgot was a goal until I was planning for this video. Okay, full disclosure, I read 1 book in verse, which is also poetry of the, I read the For Everyone by Jason Reynolds, like really early in the year. And then yesterday, so I can sneak one more in, I happened to have an unread poetry book on my shelves, and that was Chasers of the Light, which is like, was really popular like on Tumblr a while ago. It was like the typewriter poetry series. Which I'm not gonna lie, it's a beautiful book, but it was all like I feel like I would have like loved it when I was like in puppy love as like a teenager.
Right.
Because it's all about like your body next to mine, and I'm like, I could do without this.
Right.
It has an audience and it's not me.
Right. Not you, not right now.
No, yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
But the book itself is beautiful. Like he's like blackout poetry and stuff. So it's
cool.
it is like a lovely book, but I didn't love it. So that was my kind of. So I read 2 poetry books this year. And we all did super well with our first one. You actually did do well.
I did okay, yeah.
Alright, Crystal, what's your next one?
So my second goal was to finish series that I already started. Now, I definitely finished the Queens of Fenburn series through a couple buddy reads over the year, so that is tied up in a bow and complete. after we filmed our video last December, I read the first book in the Bartimaeus trilogy. And then in January, I read the second two. So I wrapped that series up. And then I read an entire series by Janet Ivanovich, the Fox and O'Hare series, which I think was like 5 books and 2 novellas. So even though I started it in the year, at least I finished what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I also started and finished The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Nice. Cool. Good one.
And I caught up on Ben Aronovich's Whispers of London series because his new book comes out in February, so I'm primed and
ready to go.
Ready to move on. So I think I did all right. I read a couple sequels.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting on the 3rd books. Like King of Fools, and I finished the 2nd Grace and Fury book, Queen of Ruin. So I think I wrapped up enough to be confident that I can
absolutely. That sounds like a success
I think
to me.
The major challenge was finishing Queens of Fenburn finally. And I just kept putting it off, But yeah, cool. So I think I did all right.
Nice. My second one was to keep a spreadsheet. I did not keep a spreadsheet. I like at the very beginning of the year, I think I started the Goodreads one that they like you can
the Book Riot one.
Sorry, yes, the Book Riot one that you can like download and then adjust to your own. And you had sent me a template for one as well, and I think I put like 3 books onto it in January and then abandoned it. But I think I've just discovered that like Goodreads is what works for me. I'm really good at logging my reading in Goodreads, and I like keeping it all in one place. I think it would be good for me to be able to track sort of more info about the authors and page count and stuff like that. But
it'd be interesting if you did it for like just OwlCrate Junior books you pick or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna think on this one. I think over the last couple of years I've realized that it's just not really my thing, even though I really love having like stats at the end of things.
It's very satisfying. But it is a lot of work.
It is, yeah. But for now, I'm for sure going to keep going with Goodreads and just like tracking as I read and everything I read on there. But
cool.
There is perhaps room for improvement on this. But yeah, the spreadsheet, complete failure.
Yeah. My next one was to read a classic a month. Now, I didn't read a classic every month, but I did read more than 12.
Okay.
So I'm counting it as done. I think I read 13. A lot of those were children's classics, but that's fine.
Those are classics.
This is a classic.
And a lot of them are like more modern classics, but that's fine. I'm counting it. So yeah, I think it's again something that's going to roll into next year, but changed a bit to just like read 12 instead of 1 a month, because you know,
you're not like stuck to this rigid calendar. What were some of the children's classics that you read?
Well, we're getting ready for this Roald Dahl Percy Jackson video that we need to follow up at some point.
Oh, right.
It's a deep cut. And I read Little Woman.
Oh, nice.
And I read...
I don't think that's a children's classic. I think that's just a classic.
I think it was originally meant to be a children's classic.
They grow up in it, though.
I guess so.
Let's call it a YA classic before YA was
a thing.
I also read Stuart Little. I read The Wind in the Willows. I read Charlotte's Web.
You read The Count of Monte Cristo.
I read The Count of Monte, which definitely is not a children's classic.
Classic nonetheless.
And I think I read Persuasion.
Oh,
yep,
nice.
that's Jane Austen. Persuasion. But yeah, so got through some classics. Yeah.
All right.
On the subject of classics, I kind of took a page out of your book, and I chose an author to read this year, specifically one that I haven't really read, and that was Charles Dickens. I listened to the audiobook for A Christmas Carol, and I absolutely loved it. I started the audiobook for Nicholas Nickleby, and I threw Dickens out the window.
I'm done.
I'm like, I just can't. I tried.
Like
maybe eventually I'll like pick up another one, like maybe Oliver Twist or something, but the getting paid per word and the tangents that happen, I'm like, you just told me an entire novella worth of story that has absolutely nothing to do with anything that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have read this snippet of a story on my own and just been fine, but
yeah,
now we're back on the road with Nicholas Nickleby, and I just stopped here.
That's fair.
So he's just not for me, but I guess I gave it somewhat of a try.
He has like a whole collection of Christmas short stories.
Yeah.
Maybe you should like stick to the Christmas Carol stuff.
Yeah. Or just the shorter thing.
Yeah. These books are chunky.
But Yeah, which is funny because think of The Count of Monte Cristo and how long and dense that is, and it's my favorite book ever. But I just couldn't read like 80 pages of Dickens, or listen to even. That was the harder part. But yeah, so I'm calling that a fail.
Or
but you like actually
actively chose not to complete.
Yeah, I gave it a college try and decided against it. Yeah. Cool.
It's allowed. You're allowed to change your mind. My third goal was to keep my bookshelves organized. I think we can agree at the office that I had ebbs and flows with this one. Currently, they're pretty organized.
Not bad.
I have a stack that I need to fit on. I don't have enough bookshelves here is my problem. That are right by my desk. Specific things. Yeah, so this one definitely went like this with some pretty deep dips.
We weren't judging her at all.
No, definitely. Couldn't see me behind my desk. And then at home, also ebbs and flows. I did move a few months ago, and I actually downsized quite a few books. As I've said many times, I tend to be more of a library person anyways. So a lot of the books that were on my home bookshelf were just like ones that I'd picked up at a free library or something, and then I was like, I'm never actually gonna read this. I'm gonna pass it on to somebody who will. So I have fewer books on my bookshelf now, and they are very organized.
Nice. So must feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next one was a complete fail. Again, because I completely forgot about it. Thinking a goal for next year should be remember your goals.
Do some check-ins, mid-year check-ins.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to read something from Anne McCaffrey, who is a very famous fantasy author. She wrote the Dragon Riders of Pern series. And funnily enough, earlier this month, I came across a bunch of her books at the thrift store and almost bought them.
Oh.
And then decided not to. And then I was checking in for this video, and I was like, darn it, should have bought them. But I, didn't read a single Anne McCaffrey book. Don't own any Anne McCaffrey books. It's probably not happening this year.
Okay.
All right, number 4. I smashed this one.
Nice.
So my goal this year was to expand my crime and detective genre reading.
Fun.
I am a very brand loyalty reader. I have like 3 or 4 detective authors, mystery writers that I read all the time. I currently have the 26th book in the in Peter Robbins's Inspector Banks series, and I've read all of them. That's what I mean by like brand loyalty. But I definitely expanded this year. So I think when we posted this video last year, just before the new year, someone recommended James Patterson, who I'd never read before, and I read his book called Invisible, like just before the new year, so didn't really count, but it kind of did.
It counts.
And it was great. It was really good. And then I discovered Janet Ivanovich. I didn't want to dive into her huge Stephanie Plum series, so I read her Fox and O'Hare series, which is like 5 books long, and I read them all. And I read 2 Joe Nesbo books, which I really like, and I think I'll keep reading him. And then I discovered the cozy mystery.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, goodness. So the first ones I read were by Parnell Hall, and they were the Puzzle Lady books. So she's like a crossword puzzle creator who also just gets caught up in solving small town crime. And it was really good. And then most recently I discovered Ellery Adams, and I read the first book in her Charmed Pie Shop series. And I read the 3rd book in her Book Retreat series, just because it was called Murder in the Secret Garden, and I'm a huge fan of The Secret Garden. But I think it raised a lot of questions that I'm currently awaiting the 1st book in the series from the library, or she's actually offered to send me one because she saw me post on Instagram.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's cool. So she'll be sending me that. And because it raised enough questions, I'm like, who are these people? Did they work for MI6 or something? Like, how are they working as like doormen and butlers and people in like a little book retreat holiday neighborhood? But so I needed to know, and they were really fun. And I think that's it, but I feel it was pretty solid.
That's
great.
So now I'm like, there's more people on my list who I will continue reading, and I think I will branch out just a little bit more. But I'm definitely going to stick in the cozy mystery genre. It's just so much fun.
Have you heard of the Macy Dobbs series?
No.
I can't remember the author off the top of my head, but Macy Dobbs is the...
Macy Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Macy Dobbs.
That they're apparently sort of like the epitome of the cozy mystery.
Oh, interesting.
So you should check those ones out.
What I was a huge fan of with, like, I know it sounds a bit ridiculous being like a Charmed pie shop mystery where it has like a bit of magical realism and she owns a pie shop, yet the murder mystery element is solid. Like, I was like, I need to know who did, like, it was a page turner.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of like fluffy on the outside, it's got like a solid core of like a good mystery to solve. So I was impressed.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So a win for me.
Excellent. Well done. My next one was to learn more about genre categories. So this is what I was talking about earlier. About, like, is it horror? Is it sci-fi? Is it both? Like, what, I definitely learned a bit more about this. I am by no means an expert.
Yeah.
But I did, like, actually do some reading on it, and it kind of just let me know that, like, this is a deep category. Like, there's a lot to know about genre. But I found a couple of, like, really great flow charts, and I actually am very tempted to, like, actually, like, buy the poster and have it so I can, like, look at it big and proper and not just on my screen.
Like, you know that gif with Julia Roberts, like, with the...
It's not Julia Roberts.
It's just a lady. What? Is there not one with Julia Roberts?
Not that I've seen. I don't know.
I could be wrong. Maybe she just reminds me of Julia Roberts. But no. Yeah.
But yeah, just so that I can be like, okay, like, where, like, what is the, you know, just kind of, beautiful minded, exactly. Like, but yeah, and then when I was doing research on this, like, I found some people's explanations, like, really unsatisfactory, and I would, like,
or, like, contrary.
Yeah, like, that there's also, like, people will be like, there's, like, 6 main categories, and it's, like, Western, romance, sci-fi, fantasy. Contemporary isn't one.
Just, like, literature.
Yeah, but then sometimes, like literary fiction wasn't one of those, and I was like, I don't know, there is more research to be done on this. So I did actually make an effort with this one, but I clearly have a lot more to learn.
So my next one was another fail. I did real well this year. That was to finish all of Holly Black's books. Oh, yeah. I read some of them. I read The Darkest Part of the Forest. I believe that was this year. And I finished The Queen of Nothing. But I didn't, she also has like the Spiderwick Chronicles and stuff like that. Yeah, and I think I think I did read the first Spiderwick Chronicles book this year as well, but I didn't like finish that series, and I didn't finish the middle grade series she writes with the Cassandra Clare. And like, so I didn't dive into her middle grade, but I read a couple. It's fine.
You made progress.
Yeah. I made progress.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I have to say about that one.
Okay.
The last challenge I made was make time to read. And I did. I feel like I did, especially with trying to... This summer I really worked on balancing my work-life schedule, so I knew that, like, if I'm reading something for work, I can read at work. It's allowed. But in terms of, like, personal reading, I think I did make good time to read, and I think that was thanks to a bunch of buddy reads I did this year, because you're scheduling time with friends to read books.
Yeah.
So I think I read like maybe 5 to 7 buddy reads this year.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, and it was good, and we're actually reading Queen of Nothing this weekend.
Nice.
So that'll be fun.
Cool.
But yeah, I think I definitely made time to like do the work. Cool. And not like it was work, but to do the work when it's work related and make that time, but also like make time to enjoy things that I just wanted to read because I wanted to. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do your last one.
My last one was to read, or to tick off 5 challenges from the Book Riot Read Harder Challenge. And I think I did.
Okay.
I might be fudging a couple of them a little bit. But in going back over the list today, it definitely sort of highlighted things that like I will be putting onto my 2020 goal list. The The ones that I completed were in a epistolary novel, which was Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. A book by a woman and or author of color that won a literary award in 2018. I read Hot Comb by Ebony Flowers, who won the Rona Jaffe Award, which is like a women in writing award. The award might have been from 2017. That's fine. But she also got like many like best of 2018, 2019 lists. So I'm going to count that one.
Yeah.
Book by a journalist or about journalism. I read I Like to Watch by Emily Nussbaum, who is a TV critic and a like columnist. I'm going to count that as journalist.
Yeah.
It
falls under the umbrella.
Yeah. Maybe on the outside of the umbrella. But anyways, a book of mythology or folklore. Do books like inspired by like a Percy Jackson count for this, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so I read Percy Jackson and I read Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is about based on indigenous folklore. And a business book, I read Radical Candor by Kim Scott. So that's 5.
Yeah.
So I think that counts.
Yeah.
Maybe not if you're like being super strict, it might not, but I think
Alright, so my last one was to read the alphabet, and what this meant is to read a book starting with like the title starting like A, B, C, and I did it.
Wow.
Wow. I did it. Last night I read Zeta the Space Girl because I was only missing Z. But yeah, because I again hadn't like really thought about this, but in the book planner that I had from Little Inklings last year, they had the A to Z challenge in the front.
Fun.
So I like went through and like filled it in. And I was like, oh, I did it.
That's so satisfying.
I know. Yeah, I couldn't believe I was only missing Z. And then I was like quickly like Googling like books that start with Z. And
Zeta the Space Girl.
Zeta the Space Girl is an awesome middle grade graphic novel that was very, very cute. And I'm happy that I had to read it for this challenge. So yeah. Satisfied with
well
that
done.
Indeed.
That's very, very impressive.
I was happy. It was very, again, satisfying.
Must be so satisfying. Completed list.
I did it. And now the last thing we all set was Goodreads goals.
Yes.
Have you hit your Goodreads goal?
I will. I remember in 2017, I read 94 books. So when we filmed this video last year, I'm like, I'm going to read 100. And then as we went through talking about them and how like it's not, you know, you don't want to make it work, I dropped it down to 80 before the end of our video, and I'm currently at 76.
Oh, yeah.
And Goodreads says I am 1 book ahead of schedule.
There you go, perfect.
I'm doing good, and I already have like books on hand that I feel like I will be reading before the end of the year.
Nice.
Cool.
And then when that in between Christmas and New Year's part kicks off, I'll probably just read anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. My goal was 72. I'm at 69 right now, so I will also for sure get there. That also included a lot of DNF books that I did not track this year, but I actually have finished 69. And
cool.
We'll
Yeah,
we'll
same.
definitely get
There were
up to
definitely a handful that I started and I either just didn't have time for or was like, This was filler audiobook while I was trying to sleep. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
And I actually finished.
Nice.
76.
That's great.
I always have my goal for 175, and I am at 260 something. 265, I think. I'm significantly lower than 2018.
Okay.
I read like almost a book a day in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah,
I was
you read,
like,
over 300.
It was 360 or something.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not going to happen this year, which is totally fine. But yeah, again, like the discussion we have, I set at 175, which yes, I acknowledge is a high number, but for me is a realistic number.
Okay.
And I don't feel like pressure to have to get there. Like I feel like it's an attainable goal.
Yeah.
I think that's how I felt with the 94 that I read the year before. Looking back at it, I was like, most of them were graphic novels that I like binged in a week, which they totally count and stuff. Yeah. But when you have a book that takes you an hour and a half to finish, you could easily get through so many more than the books that I did read this year, which some of them were quite hefty. So I was like, I think 80 was a good choice for me.
Yeah, I spent a lot more time like listening to podcasts and stuff this year than I have in the past. So like, yeah. Anyways, it was 175. Done.
Well done.
All right, so that was our goals that we made last year and maybe forgot about. For some of them. I think it should be all of our goals in our next video, which will be our goals for 2020. To do, maybe let's do a mid-year check-in or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I totally like that idea.
Kind of like remind
Refresh our
ourselves
memories a
about
bit.
what's happening.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to make bookish goals. So if you guys have any specific goals that you're going to try to do in 2020,
Or that you accomplished
or
this
that
year.
you accomplished this year, sorry, that's the wrong video. Yeah, if you accomplished any goals this year that you're really proud of, let us know in the comments.
Love to hear about them.
But yeah, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more. Happy reading, and thanks for being awesome.
Bye.
Bye.